3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into, start right, good line, good view, it drew, shoot and make Gavin.
This is Chris Podcast episode number 116. We got Mikey back from TXG. What's up, Mikey? How are you, man?
Good, boys. Yourself?
Doing well. Brycer's here.
Yep, doing well.
Whenever I think Mikey, I think Rounders. I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie Rounders, but it's whenever I see Mikey, I'm like Mikey McDermott kind of thing. But
for the longest time, Mikey was only said by aunts and uncles. That's it. And then once it's said once on a YouTube video, you ultimately become Mikey to everyone. So I'm like, oh well, I guess it's never gonna die.
Especially if it's Ian saying it too, because it's I'm not gonna try and pronounce it like Ian would, but it's like it's very, I don't know. Now it's just probably synonymous with the brand of Mike Martysiewicz, and that was like one of the things. Oh man, I remember
I've been called worse.
The first time. Well, that was from me, like one of our first. I think it was our first pod together, and I tried to say your last name without getting the pronunciation. It was rough, man. It was really rough. But so it's been a year. I didn't realize it had been a year, but we were talking like releases and stuff. So I appreciate you coming back, Mike. It's always great to have you on. With the, when the releases come out, you kind of you're our guy. You kind of know what's going on with all the clubs. You know what's going on kind of in the industry, and you can give kind of all of our viewers and listeners an idea of some of the things that are coming out. But anybody who hasn't listened to any of the ones in the past, I think this is your third time with us. So again, thank you. But yeah, if you could give us kind of an idea who you are, what do you do? We've been talking for a little while now, so about maybe what Mikey's all about, maybe not always at TXG.
Yeah, no, I'm at Tour Experience Golf, obviously custom club fitting and building facility in Toronto, Calgary, Mississauga. We have a seasonal location at the Pulpit Club up in Caledon. Obviously growing throughout the year into different markets, which is interesting. But yeah, my position at the company is director of club fitting and building, oversee all our fitters and builders, making sure customers are getting the best experience and ultimately at the end of it getting the best golf clubs. So yeah, we've been busy. It's the time of year for new gear. We've got PGA show next week, which is just a meeting of all golf crazies in one big convention center. But the bays are filling up. The fitters are all well trained on all the new gear already. So yeah, no, it's an exciting year for even for Woods. There's a lot of chat of people going, oh, Taylormade just called the Stealth 2. There's no massive, performance benefit to it. I mean, it's a 360-degree chassis of carbon, not just the face or the top. So there's a lot of cool upgrades to some drivers. There's a lot of new drivers in the market that I didn't think I'd ever fit someone to, but they've now entered the battle zone of the driver. So yeah, there's a lot of great gear out right now.
We can get into the gear a little bit more for sure. But that is one of the things that I was reading. I've got a friend who works at Taylormade. Brycer and I are both in the Stealth, and yeah, it's like a full 360-degree unit now. And I guess it's just like the only steel is the weighting, and is it the like around the facing?
Yeah, that frame in the back is obviously where the hosel is in the top line. That's the only metal part. The rest is all carbon. Callaway Paradigm, which in my opinion looks probably the coolest driver of the year, with blue and gold. But yeah, 360 degree chassis of carbon. Everyone's going the carbon route. There's one driver on the market right now, the new Strixon stuff that it is titanium. The MK2, you've got the ZX5 and ZX7. The ZX5 LS, if anyone's in the market looking for a new driver and need a little lower spin, I recommend you go hit the Strixon LS. It's only in righty, sorry lefties. But the Strixon driver, we've done some testing with it to see fitters pull it in a fitting, and for customers to be like, holy moly, this is never even heard of this brand or never expected Strixon to have a driver. They have a driver that's going to compete very well this year.
Callaway kind of stole a little bit of Taylormade's thunder on the top line there. I'm getting a little M3 vibe.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the fairway wood definitely has a thicker kind of top line between, the carbon, but yeah, it's very, very M3 vibe-ish for sure.
What's the reasoning for all the carbon, Mike?
Weight.
Lighter,
lighter, put the weight where it belongs, whether it's CG back or CG forward. These engineers are trying to shave, grams every year. And I know we look at the product cycles, and I know people are like, well, this guy sells golf clubs for a living, so he's going to say this, but every year golf clubs do improve, and it might not be drastically. If you guys are using Stealth right now, the only thing I can say is go fit and test the new Stealth too. If it doesn't beat out your current Stealth, you don't have to buy it. That's what we do here. I'll be the first person to tell you, hey, listen, your Epic driver is just as good as everything else we're testing right now. If you bought something maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, yeah, maybe it's time for an upgrade. Technology does change. But someone asked me on a Sunday night Q&A over Instagram, and they're like, do you think the golf industry has run out of ideas? But innovation can never die, regardless of the industry. So how can these people run out of ideas? These engineers are smart people. You have AI, you have 3D printing. I think we're just getting started into this generation of really, really cool ideas and really, really cool innovative golf clubs.
I think you could argue maybe the amount of change can kind of be minusculed over kind of not, but it won't ever die. I don't think they'll always find something, whether it's like you said, minuscule or it's huge. There will always be something.
Yeah.
Well, because we've seen carbon before. I remember having this conversation, I think, with you last year, and this isn't the first time that we've seen carbon in a driver. I can't think of what it was back in the day, but I think mid 2010 era, something like that. Something had come out 2012, and carbon came back. So there's going to be, we're going to get into the carbon era, carbon wood era, whatever you want to call it. To I don't know, Taylormade's listening. It's a free plug, right? But so we're going. There is so much AI. There's all these engineers. There's going to be a product that's going to supersede carbon eventually. That's going to come through, and kind of like it has done to titanium or whatever. The next transition into the golf space is. We'll always develop it in some way. I don't know what that'll be. I have no idea, but it's intriguing. Every year it's definitely intriguing. But yeah, I feel like maybe this year things haven't changed as much as they have in the past, but it's hard to say. It's really hard to say, right? It's hard to
From early testing, there's been some stuff that's been ho-hum, and you're like, okay, it's another cycle of clubs. And then there's been some stuff where we're like, I didn't think they'd be able to improve on what was really good last year. So I thought last year was a really good woods year. Cobra, for example, LTDX, whether it's Max or LS, was our number one selling driver last year. We sold more Cobra than anything. And that's weird for even me to say, just because we all remember the big three as Taylormade, Callaway, and Pink. I mean, that's your big three. But the Cobra number we did last year was ridiculous. I mean, I felt like every fit I did, the person had a Cobra driver in their bag. The Aerojet driver is just come out. I've got one sitting on my desk right now that I'm probably going to put a shaft in tomorrow and do some tinkering with. But the numbers that we've seen from Aerojet are like, wow, it's better than LTDX. And they took the CNC face away and a couple different things. But I went to an event last year, 2 Decembers ago. In Arizona for the LTDX release. And Bryson made a comment. He's like, you guys think this driver's good. Wait till you see what we're already working on for next year. And obviously everyone's like, well, what are you working on? And then we saw it a couple months ago, and you're like, now that we're testing it, it's good. It's very, very good. It's fast. It's forgiving. So Cobra's made another advancement in drivers, and I think it'll be a big seller for us again.
For you?
Yeah, well, I'm big. Sorry, Mac. I'm big into the gear. Like, I know decent, obviously not as much as you, but I think Cobra's kind of bought their way into that now top 4 ever since kind of the F9, because I mean their F9 driver was pretty solid, and I think ever since then they've been kind of keeping up with everyone else.
Yeah, F9 is great. I mean, the Cobra utility iron that's coming out, the Cobra irons, the CB, the MB, the King Tour. I mean, I was hitting the MB today, which I don't belong in blades, but I was hitting it anyways for fun. I mean, it's just so clean and classic, and there's no gimmick to it or anything. Cobra's got some proper gear. They just signed Gary Woodland. They've got Bryson. They've obviously got Lexi. They got Ricky. So their staff is impressive. And hopefully they can put that to some wins. And like I said, the Cobra product, I'm super excited to fit with this year.
Yeah, there's definitely some wins in that lineup for sure. Gary Woodland was like floating around it all year last year too. So I know that he dropped off Wilson, and then actually Kiz went to Wilson. Bryce, I don't know if you know that. So
did he?
yeah,
I did not know
Kiz is
that.
over there gaming Wilson this year.
I'm a big Kiss fan.
So Mikey, more of a personal question for you as like a fitter. Again, we're in conversation with Mike Martysiewicz over at TXG. Now, do you guys dabble with hot melt much?
I've got a hot melt gun. I've got all the rack glue in the world that we could hot melt every driver. We definitely dabble with it. In fits, all my fitters have access to a scale and some lead tape. So if there's stuff a certain weight can't achieve, we'll slap a few grams of a lead tape on there. And, if we're putting 3 grams on the toe and it's made a massive difference and the customer striping it, then in the notes in the prescription, we'll be like, here are the stock weights. Here's how we want it set up, but we want to add some, hot melt to the toe, 3 grams, don't put it on the crown, put it closer wherever you need it positioned. So yeah, all my builders, all my fitters have access to take that custom level almost to that real tour level of adding some rack glue. And our a good friend of ours, Johnny Wonder up at Callaway, he kind of hangs out in the build shop every so often. He's always liking to use rack glue. So yeah, hot melt's used quite a bit.
Now, the reason why I asked that is there a difference between like a full carbon unit to a titanium, the ability to like have it, I guess, like essentially just stick to the inside of the club?
The nice thing with the regardless of the material, it's going to stay there. Obviously, you have to be careful with how hot your hot melt is, touching that carbon, touching the seat, touching the glue in there. You need a lot of heat to break that down. The hot melt's going in. Yeah, if it touched your skin, it would definitely hurt. It's like a hot glue gun, basically. But regardless where you position it, there's still enough titanium in these carbon heads where you can kind of let it hang out in, and you just cool them down quickly. The great thing with hot melt is when it dries, it's still sticky. It just doesn't move. So if for us playing in the winter, you leave your clubs in the car tonight. Hopefully, you go play simulator golf the next day. That glue didn't get brittle and break, and now it's rattling in your driver head. It's always going to stay pretty mushy, which is nice.
I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah. I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
so it almost dries as like a thick rubbery material.
100%. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like almost like an elastic band in a way.
Yeah, okay. That's cool. Yeah, I kind of just figured it would almost like harden, just become like hot glue, fixed to. Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
The only thing is, once it's in there,
it ain't coming out.
In there, it ain't coming out. I tried to take it out once, and I melted a driver. I said, "That's it. I'm never doing this again."
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like, I know you could take the stealth and whatnot apart, but I don't know. I can't imagine that'd be very fun to kind of strip that down, break it down. So we kind of got into the gear chat right away, which I figured we probably would. But if we can kind of roll it back a little bit, so TXG is now a part of Club Champion, right? So last year that was kind of just happening as we were having our conversation. So how are things going? How's things going with TXG? So we got the Calgary location open, which I think you were just flying out to last year when we were chatting, or just kind of had just come back.
Yeah, we opened in October. Took a while for us to get open. We partnered with a simulator place out there called Total Golf. It's an indoor practice facility. The Foresight rep in Canada is part owner of it. So we have access in there. We've got 2 bays, 2 fitters, David and Tim, both great guys, full demo matrix, loft and line machines, you name it. They even got a small little workshop out there. So yeah, I mean, the partnership with Club Champion has been really good. I've learned a lot. They've opened our eyes to bigger picture things, on things that we needed to tighten up as a company, which has been really good. Lots of marketing ideas, and we now have a larger team to bounce ideas off of, rather than just being myself and Ian, or the marketing team that we have. So it's been really good. And obviously we're expanding across the country. We're opening more locations. We're going to bring access to TXG across the country, so more people can come in for fits and they don't have to fly to Toronto all the time. But I'm excited for where the next couple locations are going to be. But Calgary's, we're getting Calgary full. Bryce, you'll like this. I have a couple Calgary Flames guys that I know, they've already been in for some fits. So yeah, it's good to get that place humming. And like I said, the bays are filling up here. And yeah, no, we've learned a lot from Club C, and the partnership's been really good.
So are you guys looking to get down east as well?
East is a good one. I think West is going to be number one for us first. West is there's some gold in those mountains out there.
Any plans to come to the US at all?
No, no. Right now,
No.
there's no plans to come to the U.S. We've done. Ian and I went down in March, and we did 2 weeks of fitting down at the Club Champion Manhattan location, which they've just opened a whole new store out there. So there might be times throughout the summer or the early spring that Ian and I might go down and fit a couple guys that have requested, but no TXG in the U.S.
Now, will that just be like, because obviously there's a partnership now with Club Champion. So are you guys trying to like blend the two models that you've had together? Like kind of like, share a lot of the successes that TXG has had and them kind of share a lot of the successes that Club Champion has had to kind of build one big brand together?
Yeah, I mean, Club Champion obviously is a big company, right? 100+ stores. They're busting out thousands of golf clubs a day. Lots of marketing. Obviously, you see them on the Golf Channel, so they're a big corporation. They're going to help us grow across the country. We're going to help them. The media side of Club Champion is now TXG, a Club Champion brand. So a lot of the marketing becomes TXG related stuff. So you'll see bits and bobs of different people on there. So really, to be honest with you, you're taking a really big brand to help us grow across the country, and then we're using our the media expertise, I guess, and helping them kind of grow that as well, and obviously grow the YouTube channel. Obviously, you guys know, and hopefully people are watching. They watch the YouTube channel, but it's a big deal for us. It's where we get a lot of information out to people. And it's super popular. So the bigger we can get that, obviously the bigger the reach we have.
Yeah, and if
And
you
if you
are,
guys, our listeners haven't, I think I'm going to say the same thing Mac is about to say. But if you haven't went and checked out their YouTube channel, it's very informational. You can learn a lot. It's also just a good watch. I mean, it's entertaining. It's fun. Go check it out for sure.
and Bryce will drop a link below in the description is what
Yeah,
she's going to say.
I'll drop a link with all my editing skills.
All right, we made it through 9, and this glizzy is brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped, manscaped.com. You can go over, check out the Ultra Premium Collection, or anything that you need to not suffer through the back 9 here. Using the promo code OTS Golf, you will get 20% off plus free shipping. Maybe you'll go low on the back. Thank you for supporting the episode. Thank you for supporting the pod. Manscaped.com, 20% off using the promo code OTS Golf. Free shipping right to your door. Enjoy the pod.
Everyone obviously knows a lot about the big three because they're advertised like crazy, but maybe some of the, like you talked about Cobra, but maybe into like the Ping or the Strixon a little more, just because I
Definitely.
feel like people don't hear too much about those compared to the big three.
Yeah, Ping I always feel like flies under the radar,
Yeah.
but you see Ping everywhere. There's a lot of people who started golf using Ping. Obviously, originally invented like probably the most game improvement iron back in the day. We were down at Ping's tour facility in November, testing the new gear and taking a look at it. And we all know the last couple of years, Ping has had a driver that hasn't sounded the hottest. I can assure you that the new one sounds 10 times better. It doesn't sound like the old Nike Sasquatch. And the use of carbon, right? Ping's now in the carbon game, which I think is awesome. Their technology and their engineers are under, they know that carbon is, good for weight reduction and stuff like that. But, it's nice to see them start to adapt to that technology as well. The new driver looks great. It's got a great color scheme. Go ahead.
Even though they haven't sounded great, though, haven't they been one of the most forgiving drivers for the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, I would say G400 Max, they had that weight all the way back, and the MOI ratings on it when it came out was like the highest in the industry. We were all like, how is that even possible? 410 was good. 425 I thought looked better. I like the color scheme of it. Didn't look as busy on the top, but it, obviously Ping drivers, have that, Dragonfly technology and stuff like that. But the 430 it sounds so much better, but it is super forgiving. But they've made it now where I would say in 425, maybe 410, you had Max and LST. There wasn't a massive difference between the two of them. Like there was, but it wasn't greatly to say, yeah, that's the low spin driver, or that driver's a smaller profile. That's for the player. Now this between 430, you've got 425 Max, which is, super forgiving. And then you've got 430, and then you got 430 LST, which is that smaller profile player shape, and it's a completely different beast altogether. So yeah, the 430 stuff, we have bits and bobs of it in the studio already. We're still waiting for some of it to arrive, but like you said, Ping's always up there. They always do a good job. They have a great presence on tour, some great players, Finau and Hovland and all those boys. So yeah, I really like the Ping stuff. But you asked for it, and the Strixon driver, it's the Lone Ranger this year. It's for the longest I've been in the industry, I would have I don't know, I would have never hit a Strixon driver. It was very, for the longest time, it was very like from the Asian market. For the one, they were bonded, so we couldn't even fit for them, and then they came out with adjustable hosel, but it still didn't perform. It was still very spinny, and it was a little slow, and there wasn't a ton of, there was technology in it, but it wasn't advanced like Sim was, or Rogue or Maverick, whatever the driver was at that time. Now this year they come out with the driver, obviously having Koepka on staff, Shane Lowry on staff, Hideki on staff. They got to make a driver that competes. If these guys are signing 14 club contracts, they got to make a driver that competes. And I know Brooks is using the low spin driver. We've tested it. We had media samples here for a couple weeks, and our guys were testing them in the bay, and we're getting texts going, this driver's insane. Like, it is low, flat, fast, driver. So I think we recently did a video on it a couple weeks ago, and it was very good. Like, at the end of it, I don't know if it was on camera or not, but after, we're like, shit, this thing's going to compete. You know what I mean? Like, with this, you could stack this up a 430 LST, Paradigm, Triple Diamond, you name it, you could stack it up against that, and it's going to hold its own, which is cool to see.
I also think Strixon kind of has a name behind it, where like 5 years ago you would never even look at a Strixon driver, but like I feel like it's still not completely faded out. I still think people look past the Strixon drivers just because they weren't known to make drivers in the past. So I think that's kind of,
yeah, I mean, we're going into our 7th year of business, and when we first started out of a one-base studio in Burlington, I mean, we'd have Strixon, and from where I worked before, Strixon was already out for a couple of years, so we knew the product was good. We'd have guys coming in that are looking for like the most expensive iron back then, and they'd leave with a set of Strixons. They go, never heard of them. I love the feel of them. I love the look of them. I'm going to buy them. And then, now you show up to the tee. The three of us are on the tee, and we both got Taylormades. But then, Bryce, you got a set of Strixons. We're like, oh, why does he have that? What is this, right? So there is more Strixon. I see it everywhere. There's a lot of guys in my home club that now have Strixon. But the product's good. The drivers are good. The irons are unreal.
Yeah, I think they've come a long way, like recently, in my opinion. Like in the past 5-10 years, they've made a big stride for sure.
Totally. And the ball's really good. I play that Z-Star Diamond just because I would love to. To be honest, I'd sacrifice 5 yards just to hit it a bit higher and spin it a bit more to actually hold the green. And that diamond balls has been a game changer. I've been a Pro V1X guy for a long time, but that if you're looking for a new ball, try that diamond. Free plug for Strixon.
I've been man, I would love a Strixon plug, because I got the irons, and like I feel like I'm almost like fanboy for the irons now. So I got some friends who are like Taylormade guys, Titleist guys, whatever it is, right? And so many people kind of get like that. They get into the idea of like that's their brand. They like that brand. They only want to get fit by, go to a Titleist fitting or whatever it may be. I don't care. I get probably, I don't know, 5 different brands in my bag, but Strixon irons are going to be hard to beat unless I don't know. I don't know what it'll be unless I kind of get a free set somewhere that are just like, and I can just go pick whatever one I want. It's going to be really hard to get.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'd play those irons in a heartbeat. They're gorgeous.
Yeah. Plus, like, they look good too. Like they definitely look good. So that's the bag has to look good for me, because the game is not trending in the right direction lately.
Maybe if I get fit for the first time in my life, I'll
man.
try them out.
So crazy, Brycer. So crazy. We gotta work something out. You and I gotta go, and we gotta get fit, and we gotta
Yeah,
find
Mike's
out
probably
what'll actually
cringing
work.
here.
That's all right. I know a place with lots of fitters.
Yeah, yeah. So we can
Never
meet.
done it.
We can meet halfway and go in and get it done. But Mikey, so when you're kind of coming up into the season, when you're starting to have things dropped off on your desk, whatever it may be, coming to the shop, is that an exciting time for you? Like each year, is it kind of like Christmas for a club builder for somebody like yourself?
When I first got in the industry, like I wanted to know what's coming out in like June or July for next year. I wanted to be like like get the spy photos and junkie on Golf WRX. And when we started TXG, a good friend of mine who owned a golf store in Scotland, who unfortunately passed last year, he had a hotline to China, and we would get photos off the assembly line of like Sim 2 before it was even a thing, before probably some Taylormade people knew about it. And so I used to love doing that. Now I know when stuff's going to start arriving. It's generally start seeing stuff in July. We start testing Titleist. We start testing in August, and the other guys we start testing October, November. But yeah, I mean it's new gear. Who doesn't love new gear? I mean, I'm playing a Titleist TSR driver right now with an Autoflex. I love it. The drivers changed my game 100%.
Man, that is the most like matte looking like stealth head there is in golf right now, with the most obnoxious shaft attached
well,
to
now
it. I love it.
To be fair, I have like a limited edition Autoflex, so it's like blue and red. So it's not the Pink Panther.
I do like the pink though. It's kind of, I'm a flashy guy.
Man, I love that setup. That
like
contrast is awesome. That would be such a good that'd be, I don't know, just popping that out of the bag. But yeah, the red and blue would be cool
good
too. Yeah.
until your head pro is standing on the first tee with you Sunday morning at like 8 a.m. and you have to hit it good, because if you're using a hot pink shaft and you miss it, you're not going to enjoy those drinks after that round of golf.
I want to just kind of circle back a little bit because I have a question. I'm going to ask you before I forget it. But just with all the new technology and stuff and moving forward in the future, do you think the PGA is going to have to do something if they keep finding ways to increase distance with these drivers, even if it's a couple yards here and there, but over like 5-10 years, that could be 20 yards essentially if they keep trending that way? Do you think the PGA is going to have to step in and make some rules or no?
I mean, I know there was a whole golf ball chat of, rolling the golf ball back and, for players. And then that makes a ton of confusion having a player ball and an amateur ball. Obviously, I'm going to use the one that goes the furthest as much as I can. But, if you really want to play, do you use a player's ball? Like that's a bunch of confusion in my opinion. I think the only way to do it is you lengthen the golf courses.
Yeah.
And there's ways to do that. You can grow the rough and you pull the tees back and make the greens harder, and but then that also increases the length of time on how long golf's played. And on tour, I mean, there's 6-hour rounds out there. So it's tough. The thing is, with the help of technology, but these players that are coming out of college, they're so fast. Fast. Like I was chatting to someone at Titleist yesterday, and they had a young guy. I think he's just finished NCAA golf. I can't remember his name, but he was like 193. Well, and I'm like, come on, like, how is that 193 mile an hour ball speed? Like, it doesn't matter how hard I train, and don't get me wrong, stack and super speed and all that. Yes, you can definitely get faster, but I can't go from 155 to 190. No. That I can get to 160, and that's the goal. But I mean, 190, like the game's completely different. So I think you make the golf courses longer. I think they should leave the ball alone. But yeah, make the golf courses longer. That's my only thing I think they can do.
So I know that there's like St. Andrews right now is like in jeopardy being able to host like even another tournament now, right? So they've kind of moved everything back. They're hitting over fairways and stuff, and real estate's expensive. Like even at Augusta, there's not much space left there. So I think that's kind of the idea. And when I think about it, I think of some of those things and how much that is going to push some of the really nice old courses out of the new game, right? So,
well, I mean, you look at if we look at the Canadian Open, you have Oakdale hosting the Canadian Open this year. All the way back, it plays long. It'll probably play 7 and change, but look at a place like St. George's played pretty long and tough for these guys with elevation, but Rory obviously, dusted the field. What was he, like 19 under or something like that? For 4 days and 19 under, people are like, oh, they're ripping the golf course apart. I'd rather watch Rory shoot 19 under than Rory shoot even par. Because he's just 10 times more interesting to watch. For golf courses, you're right. If they can't play a major at the old course, that would suck. It's the coolest town and piece of property you could ever stand on. For Augusta, obviously, from what we saw, what they did with 13 over the winter, I think they moved a highway or something, who knows, but I'd feel they own that whole area. So I'm sure if they needed to, I'm sure a few homes and a few golf courses would go missing, and you'd have a longer Augusta National.
Well, at the country club for the US Open this past year, I remember they leased a guy's backyard to put a tee deck back there.
That's insane.
That's wild.
Forget what hole it was,
because they would even have to
pay a bunch of money.
Yeah, they would have to do that. I don't know, probably at least 6 months out or something too. Like they'd have to prep for that type of tournament. That's wild.
Yeah, I remember. I forget what hole it was, but I remember like it vividly because I was like, "Wow, that is insane."
Unless they're just building one on the side, bringing it in, dropping it there, and it's just like a huge built-up tee box.
They put like a temporary fence up for his back. Everything. They went the whole 9 yards. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
plus
cool.
a free membership for life. Probably that's cool.
Yeah.
Chase Cinco, is that the name that you were looking at, Mike?
I think so.
So the D1 kid, he was on like Bryson's channel playing a match with Grant Horvat, and he's hitting it longer than Bryson, which is insane, man.
Yeah.
Longest.
It's also crazy though. It's not even though it's those kids, but it's also these like 14-year-old kids who are just crushing the ball. Like it's insane.
The other night I worked with a 14-year-old kid. I think he's 14 or 15. Plays for Team Canada. He's hitting 6-iron. I think he's carrying it like 190.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, you are 14. At 14, the things I was doing at 14 was not hitting 6-iron 190 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see we work with quite a few elite juniors. It's cool to see them come through the doors. And I'll tell you, even the girls, like the ones that are playing NCAA golf right now, that played for Team Canada, I remember working with them when they were like 13 and 14. And now they're young adults and the girls are crushing it. I mean, they're so good. So I think the future of Canadian golf is going to be pretty damn good.
Did you have you had Lauren Zaretsky through there? She's
Lauren's been a long customer of ours.
Yeah.
Katie Cranston, Nicole Gal, they've all been customers of ours. So like super proud of how what they've achieved in golf. It's crazy.
Brycer, that was the other hole-in-one that I forgot about. So I had Lauren on like the Friday before she left. She went out.
Oh yeah.
The Thursday following, she had a hole-in-one in her first ever LPGA Tour event. So I was trying to remember that because we've talked a couple into fruition here on the pod.
And Vim.
Yeah, and Vim. So that was the one where I couldn't remember it. And obviously, like, it's her first round. Like, that's insane. She was like such a nice girl, man. And she pounds the ball. Like, she just smashes it too. Like, it's
crazy.
So crazy. So good. Such a good player. But so 2023 releases, Mikey, like anything that you're looking forward to the most, is it obviously like there's the driver bracket. You guys do an excellent job. So anybody listening to the pod, go check out the TXG YouTube channel. So the driver bracket's one of my favorite things. I'm sure it gets a ton of views. A lot of people like it. For you, is it the driver, the irons, fairway woods, putters? Any, like, I know that you had posted on your story the other day, there's a new Taylormade putter coming out that is pretty cool. Anything that you're looking forward to most personally for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is, I will say the driver bracket for this year, we didn't do one last year, but the driver bracket for this year will not just be one person hitting them. It'll be a multiple of people. It'll be really cool. It'll be a really good way to showcase all the drivers. I guess it'll be multiple brackets. But yeah, very excited for that. Taylormade putter. I have no clue when the embargo is on it, but I'm going to say it. They've got like this really cool adjustable putter. We did some testing. The fitters did some testing on Quintic with it, and it definitely changes rate of rotation and how the club, hangs or closes or whatever through impact. So, kudos to Taylormade on that putter. Cleveland RTX 6, the wedges are clean, really nice looking. Couple new brands we've brought in for demo is a brand called 14 out of Japan. Super good quality stuff. Proto concept, the stuff Lydia Coe's using is in our demo matrix now. Just clean looking, like I always say, the Japanese do it well when it comes to golf club design. Obviously still full current lineup of Mira. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff out there, but I would say the TaylorMade putter, Strixon driver, and the Cleveland RTX 6 wedges. I think those three are gonna make a decent splash this year.
Well, did you go the zip course after you were playing the Artisans, right?
I was, yeah. So I've still got my Artisans in the bag. I'm hoping to get down there in March to see Mike, and I know I'm a preacher of people should get new wedges every season. And I know it sounds expensive, it sounds crazy, but that groove life is a big thing. Whether you play 10 rounds, well, if you play like 25 plus rounds in practice, definitely some fresh wedges. My Artisans I've had for like, I can't remember when I was there. I think it was 2018. So I've had them 4 or 5 years, and I mean, the 50 and the 56 still spin like mad. I just put a little Scotch Brite pad to them to take some rust off. But I've been in a hunt for a 60-degree wedge for the last 3 years, and I just can't figure one out. So yeah, the Artisan 50 and 56 is back in the bag, and I've just got a SM9 Vokey what I'm playing 6010 S grind right now for my 60. So yeah, there's a lot of cool gear. The Artisan stuff is I'm hoping we can announce one day that we're doing demos for Artisan. It's something that I've chatted to Mike Taylor a lot about over the last few years. So some of that's coming to life, and hopefully you can come to TXG and get fit for some Artisan stuff.
The TaylorMade putter. So it's adjustable. So is it kind of like
Is that
like
loft?
a face balance? Like, are we talking like kind of like a lab type putter?
So you can obviously it's not the hosel, it's on the bottom of the putter. So you have adjustable weights. It's a mallet style, almost like a fang style putter. And then you have on each side a sliding rail where you can push the weight forward, you can push the weight all the way back, increase MOI. You can, position the weights differently. You've got 3 positions, so you can have one all the way up the face and one in the middle, and that can kind of, change rate of rotation. So definitely one to get fitted for.
Yeah.
And when hopefully when the marketing's out, it's easy to explain to the customer. When they came out with the adjustable drivers, people thought you put it in draw setting and it's gonna go right to left for you. Well, you're still a yogi if you hit a slice. So I mean, it's not gonna fix everything. But I think this putter is really gonna be good for fitting, dial people in a little bit more, and just get the ball rolling.
Yeah, that's such an interesting concept. I feel because putting is such like a feel thing, and you can, I don't know, kind of roll the same putter, and over the years you kind of maybe manipulate your stroke a little bit, but there's still so many people that struggle to find the center of the face. I feel like that can really help the general population of golfers.
Totally.
And when I say that, I mean like
Me?
10.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna stay out of this conversation.
No, I just mean like on average a 10 plus, like a double digit handicapper who maybe struggles to, find the center of the face and needs a little bit of work. And, if that's, like we said, a lot of people will just go pick up a brand type putter that they like or whatever it is. They'll just go get a Scotty Cameron because it's cool and that's what they like. And if they're a TaylorMade guy, they might go grab that. But to have that adjustability on, your putting green to be able to help out with that transition
100%.
and like, if you're, I don't know, if you just can't change your stroke, if you're 40 years old, 50 years old, you've been golfing forever and this is your putting stroke and it's just, you just cannot change it, but you can adjust some of the weighting and stuff like that. That is really cool. I like that idea.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm
No, I
surprised
think
that
it'll be really
I'm surprised that we haven't seen that yet. That's pretty exciting to check out. I feel like, Bryce, were you just looking that up? Were you just searching that, try and find
I was
photos of
trying
it?
to. I
feel
can't find
I feel like
anything on it.
embargo is like the 20th on this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? Who knows? But
Well,
it's going to be cool. I mean, we've got it in all the demo matrices, and I'm going to Florida for that PGA show, so it might come down on the trip just to tinker with, but I don't mess with my putters too much.
Did
Do you know what
end
it's called?
You get the Bettinardi yet?
I did. I finally got the Bettinardi in like June or something like that. So it was like 12 plus months of getting a custom Bettinardi, and I used an old Nike method putter for a long, long time and kind of replicated that with a Betty, and it works great, which is nice. I'm glad it works. But yeah, it looks really sweet.
All right, we had a couple IG questions. I'm just going to give you one here. Somebody asked if you guys are hiring. That was one of the ones. So now I kind of wanted to expand on that one a little bit. Thought it was a good opportunity to, find out anybody who's looking to get into the industry. What do you typically look for, Mikey? Like, you're the director of club building fitting at TXG, one of the biggest, or maybe the biggest fitter in Canada. So when you're getting those inquiries, when people are talking to you about it, what types of things are you looking for from, players or people that are in the industry that want to kind of get into the fitting and building, section?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say everyone on staff at one point has worked in the golf industry, whether that's working at big box retail, working in a pro shop, or working for an OEM as a tech rep. Paul was a Callaway tech rep. Alex and John worked at Golf Town and the Golf Lab. Dean in Mississauga, it worked at Big One Island for 6 years. Patty's fresh out of college. Ian and I will say we're not going to hire IQ, we're going to hire EQ. I can teach you everything on the shaft wall. I can teach you how to use Quintic and Foresight and all that. And we obviously have prerequisites. We run everyone through the Foresight training manual. We still want you to have TrackMan University completed because we think there's some great ball flight laws in that. Obviously know the lingo, know some product. You don't have to be a complete geek about it, but it does help. But the hands-on part of it of, putting a head and shaft combo together and creating something that's going to be better for a customer, that's the easy part. Biggest thing we try to harp on is customer service. That's our main focus, customer service company that sells custom golf clubs. And, I always say to guys that we hire, there's no difference of walking into a TXG than it would to be walking into a Toronto Golf Club or the National or, Rosedale. We try to treat it like a private club and not, snooty and hoity toity, but that experience that you're coming into is like, wow, this is first class. So we want all our guys to be able to, treat the studios with the most respect and kind of show off the brand. But like I said, we can teach you as much as we need. Our general process is about 2 months before you become a fitter, and it all depends on your, what your background is. It's a month of shadowing, it's a month of some reading, a month of watching some YouTube videos, a month of spending a lot of time with the operations team, and shadowing. I mean, you're shadowing a ton, getting to see how people react with customers. And then your second month, or it could be third month, but generally second month, you're in the field, you're fitting. We generally have you within multiple locations to get a different vibe. But those fittings are free to the customer. And the reason we offer it for free is just in case that fitter needs to ask a question. We don't want the customer to go, I'm paying $400 for this driver fitting, and he's asking a question on why does the head weigh 205 grams. We would never have that, but if we did, that's the reason we offer it for free. It's a room for error on the fitter, but that's on our judgment whether we're letting them go free, letting our children go free into the world of fitting.
Well, and that's something. So if they're, watching the podcast by chance over on YouTube here, or if you're listening to it in the car or whatever it may be, you've probably checked out the YouTube or channel for TXG, and you kind of see that same type of professionalism on that channel. And we had a lengthy discussion before we hopped on the pod here about how, there's so much retention and all that stuff that goes into it. And I think it's like that professionalism that Maddie has, that Ian has, that you have, that kind of grip people, have them, hop onto the channel, learn quite a bit, hit the subscribe button and come back. Right. So,
Totally.
That's kind of the idea of, when you're getting fit and you're spending that money, like you said, you want to go in there, you want to feel confident, you want to feel, like it's professional. You're already nervous enough to have to go in there and hit it around in front of a bunch of people. So,
well, that's the thing. We get guys and ladies and juniors and seniors that are like, oh, I'm nervous because they do watch the channel and, they get fit with Ian, or, I only fit on a Friday, and generally if they're requested fits, I'll do a fit. So I get people that watch the channel and you can tell they're nervous. And the first thing I always say is like, relax, like who cares? Don't worry. Like, I'm not going to judge you we're all going to hit misses. We're all going to hit it fat, skinny, shank, left, right. Don't worry. It's going to happen. The biggest thing of going into a fit is don't be nervous.
Yeah.
And one thing that I hope everyone understands when you come here is we know it's an investment, whether you buy one golf ball or you buy 14 clubs. it doesn't matter how much money you spend with us. As long as it works for you, that's all that matters. Because no one wants to be felt, taken advantage of spending upwards to $10,000 plus, and like their fitter doesn't care. That's not what we're here to do.
So Mike, you transition onto something else. We talked about like all the big brands and stuff like that. So we've seen a bit of a shift, or at least I have a lot of people who kind of follow the YouTube space. We've seen a big shift with a lot of these bigger OEMs kind of signing influencers, or maybe more golf like personalities, I guess is a better way to put it. So is that anything that affects you guys, the business there? Is that anything that I'm sure you got people coming in that are like, oh, I saw, Garrett hitting this thing, hitting Mizuno's, he's with Callaway now, or, I really like this club because I watch Good or whatever it is. Do you see that like within your business a lot? Does it affect how you guys, kind of roll out, your messaging to some customers and whatnot? Because you're kind of trying to get them to try everything, right? Like you don't want people to come in and like be, all right, I want to Taylormade this. You want to get them to be able to honestly have the same swing when they're hitting a Taylormade ping, Haywood, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I think it's smart what Callaway's done with the good guys. Great YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I don't take in a lot of golf content on YouTube or anywhere. I watch other stuff and do other stuff. But you get players like, even that Luke Kwan that's on the good team. I mean, the guy stripes it, ex-tour player or mini tour player, whatever. I mean, I think he's got one of the best swings I've seen online in a long time.
It is good.
But what Callaway's done, I think anyways, and I think it's genius, call it the golfers that are 15 years old right now that watch good, that are fanboys of good, those guys are going to want to play what's in Luke's bag, right? So, and then if, with this good, brand of, potential equipment and stuff like that, I mean, you're going to get people, if it's cheaper, but they trust someone who uses it, people are going to use it. I mean, you've got the COVID golfer, you've got the younger demographic that are getting into golf now. Golf is a growing sport. They use the good stuff, and then in 5 years' time, they're now in Callaway Paradigm 10.0 or whatever it's going to be called. So it's smart. We were chatting to Cobra today. They've got blades, and then we actually added to the demo, which is called a T-rail, and the thing literally looks like a boat. It has got the thickest top line I've ever seen in the golf industry. It's got a massive butt to it. It just goes straight up and it goes forever. It's a strong lofted iron. They have stuff that covers the whole demographic from tour pros to juniors to seniors, you name it. So I think what they've done is smart. Are people coming in asking for it because good using it? I haven't had that yet, or haven't had someone say, hey, I saw, Claire Hogle use a TaylorMade driver. I want a TaylorMade driver. But I do believe it. People are definitely seeing. I got buddies that aren't huge into golf, but they're like, oh, I saw, I don't know. Give me an influencer. Mac Boucher. All my buddies are like, Mac Boucher. Mac Boucher. It's like, unfortunately, I do know Mac Boucher. And they're like, what drivers are you using? And I was like, a TaylorMade. And they're like, oh, do you have any? And they want to look at that gear, which is weird for me to hear them say, because I grew up with those guys. They hated golf growing up.
Yeah.
So the new golfer, the COVID golfer, the younger demographic, they are definitely latching more onto what influencers are using rather than what the PJ Tour is using.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I formed the question from. But for Mac, I'm like more interested in what beard balm he's using in his mustache than what driver, right? So things beautiful. But no, I know, like, I've talked to Mac recently. He was going to jump on with us a little while ago, and then he's just like, he's flying everywhere for the next 3 months.
He's the fame has gotten to his head, and I'm gonna clip this part of the podcast. I'm gonna send it to him.
There you go.
But yeah, he's too busy for all of us. He's become Mr. Hollywood, and let him do what he's doing. But no, I'm happy for him. He's having fun, and I think he's in Dubai right now, and he hits it so good. It's insane.
It's hard not to watch, man. Shots fired, though. Shots fired. That's yeah, that's another Canadian guy. It's good to see, because he kind of him well. He's a pretty genuine guy. It's kind of nice to see a page get to where it has, and it's like art, man. We get to like flip through. We talked about TikTok, and it's kind of nice to just kind of go through and have a look, see him hit some fun golf shots.
When you see the golf shots in real life, you're like, holy moly, this This is different level. I mean, I took him a couple years ago to Toronto, and there were some trees that are no longer. And I mean, he was taking them like 80 yards left and 80 yards right. And I'm like, dude, I can barely hit it straight. I don't even know how you're able to do this, but how he thinks is just, it's ridiculous.
It's cool, man.
Yeah,
Very cool.
Just in the off season, Mikey, I want to go through your kind of day to day, kind of at work. I know we kind of ask a lot of our guests this, but it's kind of interesting to see what different people do in the golf industry. So if you want to just kind of roll through a day to day, maybe off season and throughout the season.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, the nice thing for us now is off season is it's quiet. I mean, it's quieter in December. But right now, you know, when new gear's out, Jan to November, people are gung ho. People want gear, which is nice. I mean, my day to day, you know, first thing is in with the operations team and see if there's any fires or making sure stuff's being built, you know, correctly. It's not like I'm overseeing it like a hawk, but, you know, grab meetings with the build team, grab meetings with operations team, making sure customer service has got what they need. Connect with my fitters. I'm in the Toronto location today, so I try to spend one day a week up here to just be with the fitters and be with the customers out here. But my job is obviously to help increase, you know, sales within the company. What can we add for the customer's benefit that can also, you know, benefit TXG at the end of year? So we're working on promotions with the marketing team. We're working on bringing different brands and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, off season, I see. This is going to sound awful. I don't love to practice. It's not that I don't love to practice. I don't know what I'm practicing. And
you know what, Mikey? I know a good YouTube channel that you should check out. It's the Tour Experience Golf YouTube channel. There's plenty of content on there. You've been on the channel.
I don't like the guys on that channel. They're weird. But I mean, you know, Ian works with me a little bit on my swing. We'll hit, you know, I'll go on a Sunday and hit some balls at work. You know, Scott Kelks, who's one of the best teachers out there, coaches out there, and he's always, you know, teasing me. He's like, let's take a look. So off season, like I said, I don't practice a ton of golf. I try to travel and play a bunch of golf. And then when the season's on, I mean, last year I played, it was like 97 rounds of golf.
Nice.
That is nice for being a single guy that literally just works and goes to the golf course. And I live at the golf course when the golf season opens, and when it ends, I'm going to depression mode. So yeah, I try to play as much golf as I can, whether it's for work or just for fun. My weekends are dedicated to golf. We obviously, being in the golf industry, have a chance to play different industry events or with different people, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, as soon as the golf season hits, you know, which is generally, I always call it Feb to October's, you know, crazy time. I'm still selfish and sneak out to play golf.
I like it. Well, Mikey, it's been about an hour here, man. We really appreciate you giving us all this time. Anybody who's still connected with us, you guys will have your podcast popping back up in the next little while. So Stay tuned for that. Check out Mikey's page. It's at MikeTXG over on Instagram still.
Yes, sir.
So the Sunday Q&As are great. If you have any questions, pop over there, ask Mikey a question. He'll get back to you. And then we're going to link the TXG channel down below the YouTube channel. You can go there. You can learn anything about any brand. There's tips on there, everything that you want to do. Just go check it out. Search through there. Hit the subscribe button. It keeps Mikey employed. That's pretty much where a lot of it might come from. But yeah, he's even on there too, man, swinging the Kirkland wedges and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So if you want to see him kind of in a different light, go over and check out some of those videos. It's really cool. But Mike, really appreciate it. We're gonna ask you again, are you gonna have us out to play Toronto golf this year?
2023 will be the year.
2023, I like it.
Toronto golf.
I like it. We'll have a good time, and I'll have you out at Port Hope.
Love it.
It's pretty sweet out here, man. I know a lot of good things are changing out here at Port Hope, so yeah, it'll be a good year for the course too. So we'll tee it up.
Play. It looks awesome.
It does look pretty awesome, man. It's pretty cool. It's hard to beat. It's hard. It's tough, but it's fun.
Up out there.
It's fun though. It's fun. If you're hitting it straight, it's okay. You're hitting it straight and you're hitting it high and you can land it on a green. It's good. It's not a super long course. You just got to hit it straight. But thanks, Mikey. Yeah. So anybody, again, all the links are below. Go check them out and stay tuned because your podcast will come up and it'll bounce us out of that #1 spot in Canada whenever we have a good one and we get there. But that's okay. That's all right. Lots of people in the golf space. Take care, Mikey.
Thanks, guys.
He's out in my ball in the course, so I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss it's a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross. Worst case scenario.